Hello, today we will learn another example involving decimal fractions. In this case, we will perform addition, subtraction, and multiplication operations. But this example will also contain another fraction, namely a mixed number. Let's write down this example. So, 9 1.1/5 plus 2.80. And to this sum I need to add the number 4.4. And then multiply that sum again by 1.2. What is the outcome? When you see an example that contains a mixed fractional number along with the decimal notation, it is possible to do it in two different methods. Of course, you can convert decimals to a mixed number or to an ordinary fraction and perform these actions, but it's easier to work with decimals. Therefore, let's convert 9.1/5 into a decimal fraction with you. How do we do that? Let's remember. Okay, let's write down 9.1/5 here. I want to write it down as a decimal. So 9.1/5. What am I paying attention to? The denominator. The denominator is 5. So at this point, I can't write it down as a decimal. So I need to turn a 5 into either a 10, 100, 1,000, and so on. What do I need to do that? If 5 times 2, then I know I've got 10 in the denominator. And then I can write it down as a decimal fraction. If I multiply the denominator by 2, then I must also multiply the numerator by 2. And then you get the following recording, 9.2. And 9.2 decimals is 9.2 decimals. 2/10. Now, let's proceed with the order of operations. The initial step involves performing various calculations, is the action in the parentheses. But the thing is, there are two parentheses. So how do you choose which one comes first? The thing is that we have an inner bracket and then we have an outer bracket. So the first addition is the first action and then the second action. And the third action is multiplication by 1.2/10. And now we do the action. The first action. What is the sum of 9.2/10 and 2.8/10? The answer is the result. Well, we could add it up, but I can count these numbers. So, I combine 2/10 with 8/10, making a total of 10/10. Instead of writing down 10, I write down 0 and set it aside. I separate the whole part, and to 9 I add 2. That makes 11. And 1 in my mind would be 12. You can do addition in this way, but if you're not sure of the answer, write it down in the form of as a column. So 9.2/10 plus 2.8/10. Please ensure that the decimal point aligns perfectly with the decimal point. Proceed with counting now. In this calculation, we have 2 and 8 equaling 10. We record 0 and 1 in our memory. However, we cannot include the written one here as it would not add up to 10. Instead, we memorize the 1 and prepare to add it in the next sum. Therefore, 9 plus 2 equals 11, and Theon in our mind makes it 12. It's worth noting that this gives us the same result. The subsequent step is the following step in line. To a sum of 12 in total, I need to incorporate the value of 4.4/10. And here we can do the math. And then you can do the math. And to 12 add 4, it will be 16 whole and 4/10. You can check this action by using column addition. And the third action? I need to multiply 16.4 by a factor of 1.2. Now let's move on to applying the method of column multiplication. We have the calculation of 16.4/10 multiplied by 1.2/10. In this process, it's important to disregard the decimal point at first. So when multiplying, 2 multiplied by 4 gives us 8. 8 multiplied by 2 equals 12. I jot down the number 2 and I commit to memory the number 1. 2 multiplied by 1 is 2, and in my thoughts 1 becomes 3. Next, multiply 4 by 1 to get 4 with the same result. Notice I'm shifting with a ladder. Multiplying 6 by 1 equals 6, and the multiplication of 1 by another 1 equals 1. Now, adding to the previous statement, the sum of 8 and 0 is indeed 8. Adding 1 to 5 brings us to 6. The sum of 3 and 6 is equal to 9. And 1 plus 0 is 1. In order to write down the final answer, notice the number of decimal places I have to assign in order to meet requirements. To do this, I count how many decimal places I have in the multipliers. 1 decimal and a second decimal for a total of 2 decimals. So in our result, I have to allocate the whole part. I'm going to count from the right-hand side. What is the value of 1 plus 2? The answer is 19.60. 8 hundredths, 19.68 hundredths. I don't forget to write down this answer. And it turns out to be 1968 hundredths. This is how to perform actions where there are decimal fractions as well as ordinary fractions. In the next lesson, we'll look at another example. And that's all for today. Goodbye. See you again.